Strap in, kid.
Welcome to the Bad Batch, the Explosion Network's after show, breaking down, discussing, and reviewing each and every episode of the Disney Plus original Star Wars series, Star Wars The Bad Batch Star Wars Time. It's the penultimate episode of Star Wars Season 1. And Season 1, we now know Season 1. We'll talk about that later. My name's John Blight. Join me, Asher Hobley.
John, here we are. Excited to be here. Part 1 of the finale.
Whew. And stuff's happening.
Stuff did happen.
Good old, interesting, actual stuff. I feel like after watching this, I put out I very much enjoyed this episode, but I'm like, man, this show should have been almost could have been a tighter season run, and maybe would have enjoyed it more. But anyway, here we are. So this week's episode, "Return to Kamino," is the actual title. Even though, as we're recording, I'm just discussing it. It does say on Disney Plus currently, and probably on IMDb and wherever else, a simple "The Finale Part 1," but it does have a title, "Return to Kamino." I like the title. Directed by Nathaniel Villanueva, written by Matt Michinovetz. Synopsis was, the Bad Batch find themselves in unexpected territory in this thrilling finale. Overall thoughts on this week's episode?
Yeah, pretty good. You know, a lot of action, like a lot of character moments. We finally got the Crosshair Bad Batch confrontation we've been kind of waiting for most of the season. We got Omega doing stuff, revealing more information about herself, kind of like hinting at potentially more information. And then, you know, it ends on classic cliffhanger. Blowing up the building people are in. That's how
will they survive?
How will they survive?
Come back next week.
Tune in next season. No, I mean next week.
Next week, yeah. Yeah, I thought it was a really good, action-packed, weirdly emotional, I guess, episode. I don't know. I've made a note of that, but it was a lot for 24 minutes, I guess, after not including credits. So, yeah. I mean, we got there fast. We got there in a way. When the episode started, I was like, where's this going to go? And then, of course, when they went back to Kamino, I was like, oh, of course the season finale is going to be back at Kamino. Why didn't I stop and think about this properly? Because, of course, that's the direction it was going to be. But yeah, I mean, it's a pretty straightforward episode of just lots of little interesting character moments and nuggets amongst all the action and stuff. But quite simply, of course, they can't leave Hunter alive. Have to get Hunter back. Go to get Hunter. Omega has secret landing strip. And ultimately, the other thing is this show explains what the fuck happened to Kamino, I guess is the thing. So firstly, the little nugget to point out from this week's episode, Omega's technically older than the Bad Batch, which is an interesting tidbit there. So because she's a clone, much like Boba, which of course we already learned, but because of that, and she ages normally, then she was actually around to see them get birthed, I guess, or whatever you want to call it. So she's actually older than them. They've just been because they've got the aging stuff. They were aged up to adults faster, which is interesting. Doesn't really change the dynamic, I don't think, because she's still like a child at heart.
Yeah, she's still the younger sister, but she's kind of technically the older sister. Yeah,
she's been on the Earth or the galaxy or whatever. She's been in the galaxy for longer, but her body is younger. It's literally coming back to M. Night Shyamalan again. Have you seen Old, everyone? I mean, it kind of is because, her body, time is on her side. It's just a little interesting.
Well, it would be if she wasn't blown up inside a blown up building, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I really don't think they're going to kill all of them. But that wasn't really. It's a cliffhanger. They're going to find a way to survive.
They're going to clone a new Bad Batch for next season.
I mean, that would be an interesting twist on the entire direction of the show. But yeah, and then so all the stuff with her was good in that room. You know, it's sort of her not really wanting to come back, but knowing all these little secrets and tidbits that, of course, she's learned over the time that she's been alive. Then we get to the Crosshair stuff. So Crosshair does this big standoff with everyone in that training room where he basically says, I still reckon we could be together. You just need to join the dark side, basically. I mean, more or less, he's like doing a fucking Palpatine.
Kind of. If you join the dark side, we can be together.
Yeah, pretty much. Is literally what he does, I think. But of course, Omega lets loose all those training droid things or whatever they are. They're not quite training droids, but I think they are actually, because I know Tarkin Thrawn practices against them, those sorts of ones.
Is it Thrawn?
In the anime thing, he like practices against them.
It was Thrawn in the first episode.
No, Tarkin.
Tarkin, yes. That's what I meant to say.
And he was in this episode. Yeah. The one he's talking to, who's like, fire when ready, fire laser beams. But yeah, you get this interesting sort of tidbit where Crosshair claims that he's had his chip removed. So the question then I have is, are we believing him that he actually has his chip removed, or was he simply told that he had his chip removed? Because this comes all the way back to episode 2, I believe, the last where we see him go under. They do something to him. I assumed they were just changing his protocol or like making him into an even meaner son of a bitch. But he apparently thinks that they took his chip out. I mean, I'm going to say, I just think that's bullshit. I think he thinks he's got the chip out and that's who he is. And that's how bad of a mind twist they've done. But I mean, if he actually does have the chip out, I mean, that's an interesting direction as well. But yeah, what do you think?
I don't think he's lying. I think maybe he believes he's had the chip out, or he actually did have the chip out. Like, maybe he got removed. Obviously, they were looking at his face. Like, one of the other times he's been injured, it was removed or whatever, for whatever reason. Because in the first episode, he didn't necessarily act like someone under the orders of Order 66. He was just following the general orders, you know? So,
yeah, but I mean, that was the thing. Like, it just makes you, I guess, I don't know. It's interesting because, of course, they're taking him, so it makes me be like, what do you think you can do, Hunter? If either Hunter doesn't believe him and he's like, no, we'll get his chip out, but then if Hunter does believe him and thinks the chip's actually gone, then he's doing through the power of love.
Yeah.
We'll bring you back to life.
Love always works in the Star Wars universe.
Love conquers all. Apart from if your name's Ben and you sometimes go by last name of Ren.
You know, or your Han Solo.
Yeah. Maybe love doesn't conquer all.
Or Anakin Skywalker. Or Padme.
Yeah, love really didn't conquer. I mean, technically maybe it did, because people do like to believe the only reason that the baby survived was through her ability to, push long enough through to have them, and then all life gave out of her. So, I don't know. Have I ever told you the long running fan theory also that she like drains, or Anakin like drains her life force or something like that at the end unknowingly? Like, people have this long running because of the way the scene's edited.
Because it's shot that interwoven.
It's like intercutting, and he becomes Darth Vader, and like as he's burning, and he's nearly dying, and that's intercut with her giving birth, and then like he barely survives, and she suddenly dies, and then Yoda's like, they don't know what happened to her. Her heart, like she just died. So fans had this theory that it was supposed to be edited, and it's like secretly this thing where Anakin taps so deep into the dark side to survive that he like kills her, draws her life force. Doesn't even know it.
Interesting theory.
Yeah, people do love some fan theories. As a side note.
Yeah.
So
Also, Rose would be another example of love not conquering all. Yeah.
No.
Her saying
replaced
things
by
we
a
love and then replaced.
Shitty
3 lines.
Shitty alien thing. Yeah. Love definitely did not conquer all. And then the way this episode ends, it was like both cool, epic. I appreciate that it's not one of these things where I'm like, I really needed to know what happened to Kamino. You know, like I'm never like, I don't really need to know everything, but it is sort of closing a loop that makes you go, oh, okay. So that's why no one ever went to Kamino to find their cloning tech ever again, or, you know, anything like that. That it was all destroyed and whatever else. But now I'm going to say, so they've taken the lead scientists, they've taken all of the core equipment and whatever else. So now I'm like, are they just going to be like, they took that old Exegol right now, you know, like they took it all the way off to there, and that's where it stayed, and that's where Palpatine from the get-go, from this moment, had them researching clones, and that's how he was able to clone himself by the time we get to Rise of Skywalker. I'm like, is that the direction we're going? That they're just going to take all this clone equipment to Exegol? For people who aren't playing can't remember it at home, Exegol's the planet that we find Palpatine on in Rise of Skywalker.
Sure, why not? I mean, we've seen cloning stuff all over the place. Obviously, we saw cloning facilities in The Mandalorian and that kind of thing, so I don't think it's too far-fetched that, you know, I'm sure there'll be many facilities in which these people will be working on cloning stuff in perpetuity. So always go with the backup plan.
Seems like that's something to do. But yeah, that shot where they have a couple seconds from that really cool angle that they do in Star Wars, often where it's like sort of just below the ships or whatever, and you can see them firing forward on something. That shot where they was just hammering down on Kamino there and destroying stuff. I was like, this is beautiful, but also just weirdly sad because like Kamino is sort of, I guess, the centerpiece for the prequel trilogy as a location, because although we only go there once, it is where the clones come from. You know, like it's the whole thing. Like the prequels revolve around. It's really weird though, because the Phantom Menace just kind of sits in a corner by itself as this weird sort of. It's almost like the Phantom Menace is a prologue, and then the real trilogy is Attack of the Clones, Clone Wars TV series, Revenge of the Sith. You know, and out of all that, of course, Kamino's the centerpiece, because if you don't have Kamino, you don't have the clones, you don't have the Clone Wars, you don't have everything that leads to Palpatine. So the location being destroyed just feels kind of weird. You know, how do you feel about Kamino? Any thoughts?
No, not really. You know, I think obviously we got what we got. I don't know if we need to see any more of Kamino here.
Well, we won't, I guess. Yeah. After this.
Well, you know, they've got all these networks of tunnels and stuff. I'm sure there's on this one planet there is not just one building you to shoot.
Well, no, but maybe there is. I don't know. We never go anywhere else. Because the other thing is, I don't really know how big the planet is. For all we know, the planet is quite small. I don't know. For all we know, because that's the thing about when you go into the galaxy. It's like you think about Earth and you think about we have so much land mass, right? But there's also parts of Earth where there is just water and there's nothing and there's not much land mass. And every time you go to Kamino, it's fucking raining and it's a shitstorm. And they've somehow managed to build this like one little area. So to me, it always felt like there was no real. It's like a weird planet where there's no real landmass, and people discover it or whatever. Or maybe they can swim. I guess that's the other question we've never really thought of. Like, Kaminoans, are they actually like amphibious type creatures. I don't, because they didn't just magically have the buildings set up. Or maybe, I don't really know.
I don't know. I feel like the Kamoans are like underwater people initially. You know? Because I can't imagine they would have. Evolution doesn't work that way. Where, they can just live on one tiny platform. If you're living on a planet that's just water, you wouldn't evolve so you could not live in the water.
I mean, yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. I don't think they've covered it. Or
what's the creation story in Star Wars? Do you know? Or are they pro-evolution? They're Darwinists.
I believe, come on. They are surely pro-evolution. There was one god who created everything in the galaxy. I mean, that's probably, if you ask someone who believes in God, I guess that's the answer. So is that not, or there's not multiple gods, is there? So I guess that would be the answer. Or maybe, I don't know. I fucking don't know. I have no idea. But yeah, and the other thing leading into the end of this episode, you got the cliffhanger, fucking shit's been destroyed everywhere, boom, boom, pow, crawl, bang. How will they get out of here? Season 2 confirmed for 2022. So we know that whatever happens next week, season finale, they're probably not all going to die unless you believe in Ash's theory that they're just going to make more clones, which that would be silly because they're literally, the whole show's this season's been about how they're getting rid of clones, but more power to you if you want to believe that. But yeah, season 2.
Do you reckon they announced this news this week because of the backlash they got from Loki, where they announced season 2 at the end of the season?
Did they get backlash?
And then all the news stories came out, and they went, "Oh, all those news stories are spoilers." Then there's the second season.
Yeah. So is this a spoiler when they announced it before the end of the show? Does that count?
I guess.
Or was it only a spoiler because they didn't officially announce it and it was part of the show that made it a spoiler for Loki?
I don't know.
You know, like, that was such a weird thing that people got. Yeah, I remember now. People got upset because it was a spoiler because it was part of the episode, which is silly. Because if you were worried that getting it revealed that Loki season 2 is a thing is a spoiler because it means that all the characters don't die. I guess maybe that's the spoiler. But then without diving into Loki spoilers, they can announce season 2 of Loki doesn't mean that Loki would or couldn't have died. You know what I'm saying? So that's silly. Announcing season 2 of the Bad Batch, to me, at least some of the Bad Batch have to live to do a show called the Bad Batch. Now, they could kill a character or not, but yeah, they could leave this until the last episode. They could do it now. I don't really feel like it's fucking spoiler either way, is it? I don't know. Weird. No. How do you feel about season 2 though? Because we kept being like, "Oh, is this a one and done?" Or
I mean, it's good. Hopefully, season 2 a little more focused on the Bad Batch and maybe not so many cameos that people got upset.
Or do you reckon they're all just going to loop back in?
Or loop back in, just go double down, like have them run into Palpatine, have them run into Jar Jar Binks, have them run into Owen or Luke's uncle. You know, everybody
somehow. Yeah. Sure.
You know, they have to go to Tatooine at least. Come on. Yeah, season 2, Tatooine, please.
All I'm going to say is if they're going to have a mega in the Book of Boba Fett, which I'm still going to put out there as it may sound silly, but honestly at this stage where they're trying to intertwine these shows a little bit better and build this sort of Disney Plus Star Wars animated TV show universe and whatever else, it wouldn't even feel weird, but that's supposed to come out late
this year.
Was that still late? It's still supposed to come out late this year, they reckon. So, like, if a mega shows up in that, then season 2 could potentially, like, here's how they actually met when she like tracked him down. So we could still go back to that as a plot thread potentially. I don't know. She may not even be involved, but I'm just saying, like, if she lives all the way to then, I mean, it's interesting. She, as I said, they are technically brother, sister, like proper, legit.
I mean, it will be depressing if they all die at the end of the season. That's how it ends.
Yeah.
Like at the end of the series. It's
They
like,
all die,
okay.
and Mega's the only one left.
No,
Season 2
all
is
of
just a
them.
Mega.
Oh, season 2.
mate.
If they
Just a Mega left.
it'd be interesting, yeah.
Bad Batch die. Mega lives. Mega ain't
Omega,
die.
and then next season's Bad Batch, Next Generation.
Sure.
She
It
finds
worked
more
for-
Bad Batch members.
Sure. Let's go with that. All right. Well, next week, final episode. I'm hoping it's a little bit longer, personally. Maybe like one of those 40-ish minutes ones. Give us like a proper... Well, the opener was 40-ish minutes,
Do you have
whatever it was.
any predictions?
Nah.
No.
I have no idea.
Other than they get out, obviously.
Yeah. They survive what's happening. They get out. And then the episode's about saving...
Themselves?
Well, yeah, I guess. I don't really know, to be honest. I don't know.
Okay.
It's like,
Crosshair, what happens? Does he come back?
yeah, he fucks off.
Does he die?
Nah,
Does he become like his random third party?
He either leaves or he, even if they remove his chip and he has one, he's going to do like, oh, I don't deserve to be with you guys. And he like walks off into the sunset. That sort of thing. You know? Something like that. He ain't either way, I don't see him. I just feel like if they save him, it feels a little bit too happy-go-lucky to have and the band got back together again. I don't know. It feels too
No,
easy.
people love redemption stories, especially in
They
the Star
do.
Wars universe.
But I mean, since we're doing a second
know?
season, I'm like, you could.
Sure, he doesn't
push
have
that.
long flowing locks, but
Yeah.
people want to redeem that guy.
I feel like you could push that.
Yeah, I
Find
definitely
out next
see.
week.
I don't think he'll be directly joined with the Bad Batch, but he'll have his own storyline over the next season before getting back with Bad Batch to die inevitably together.
Yeah, well, I still think they'll all die by the end of the show. By the end of the show, at least, I don't know. I know it sounds mean, but also we know some
history.
stage. Because I remember I kept like watching Rebels. I'm like, they can't have all these fucking characters survive. I'm like, you can't have all these Jedis out there. And they got the Ahsoka thing out because it was the whole like, she doesn't really want to help fight the fight, and that's why she never tracked down Luke and whatever else. It's like fine. And then they explain everything else. They kill Kanan. I'm like, all right, well that's one. They killed Kanan, which is another thing. Like they haven't not been afraid of killing characters off in anime shows. Kanan died, like I think it might have been the 4th or 5th last episode of that season. Like it wasn't even in the penultimate. Like he died several episodes before the final run, like final few episodes. And then of course Ezra, they shoot off into fucking whale space to explain why he's never around anymore. So like they've done a pretty good job so far at being like, well, here's why these characters weren't evolved in the trilogy or movies that you care so much about. But I mean, if the Bad Batch survived, I know they're not Jedi or anything, but I'll be like, well, why the fuck wasn't Rex like calling them up during Rebels or anything? You know, like what? Why aren't they with Rex in Rebels? Why don't they find him the what happened? So I don't know. We'll see. Let's find out. So thank you for joining us for another episode of The Very Bad Batch. Please subscribe to Holocron Entries for all our great Star Wars content. Of course, this podcast feed. Follow all of our Twitters by heading to explosionnetwork.com/Twitter. Join our Discord, explosionnetwork.com/Discord. And if you like this and you'd like to tell us, head on over to explosionnetwork.com/support us. Donate as little as $1 or buy an Explosion Network t-shirt. And until next week.
Done. I was really excited that this week there was secret tunnels under the water. Secret tunnels.
Is that a real song?
Yeah, it's from Avatar: The Last Airbender. It's a huge meme.
Huge meme I don't get.